Hi everyone, this is Revathi M, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, Dr. DrSNSRCAS College of Arts and Science. Today we are going to discuss about object-oriented programming concepts in C++. Next, we see the introduction of object-oriented programming. The main aim of object-oriented programming is to bind together the data and the function that operate on them so that no other part of the code can access this data except the function. So the main purpose of C++ programming is to introduce the concept of object orientation to the C programming language. So object-oriented programming is a paradigm that provides many concepts such as inheritance, data binding, polymorphism, etc. So the programming paradigm where everything is represented as an object is known as the truly object-oriented programming language. For example, Smalltalk is considered as the first truly object-oriented programming language. Next, we see the characteristics of object-oriented programming language, a method that implements in which program classify as cooperative collection of objects. Then the object state is set by the value of its property, whereas behavior is by the operation it gives. So major importance of data rather than the procedural process. Program are divided into entities defined as object. So the next characteristic is data structure or storage that is used to characterize object. Data is safeguarded so that it is not accessible by external function. So some of the features of the OOPS concepts are class, object, encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, dynamic binding, and message passing. These are all the main features of the object-oriented programming language. We will see in this session, we will see one by one. First, we see the class. Class is one of the main feature of the object-oriented programming language. It is defined as collection of object is called class. A class instance must be created in order to access and use the user-defined data types, data members, and member functions. An object class acts as a blueprint. Take the class of car as an example. If the different names and brands may be used for different cars, all of them will have some characteristics in common, such as um, four-wheelers, a speed limit, a range of miles, etc. So in this case, the class of car is represented by the wheels, the speed limitation, and the mileage inheritance. It is a logical entity. So in this example, we are using a car is a class. So here the methods and attributes are the characteristics of the classes. Next, we see the objects. Object is the runtime entity. It means real world entities such as pen, chair, table, etc. Object oriented programming is a methodology, a paradigm to design a program using classes and objects. It simplifies the software development and maintenance by providing some concepts. For example, chair, pen, table, keyboard, bike, etc. It can be physical and logical objects we are using. Here we see the C++ program for classes and objects. So here person is the class name and we can create the object for person. So in main function we are creating the object P1 for the person class name. So here P1 is the object. So the class name is the person and P1 is the object. Next, we see the encapsulation. Encapsulation means wrapping up data and information under a single unit. That is, it's binding together the data and the function that manipulate them. Let's we see the real-time example of encapsulation. In a company, there are different sections like an account section, finance section, sales section, etc. The finance section handle all the financial transaction and keep records of all the data related to finance. Similarly, the sales section handles all the sales related activity and keeps record of all the sales. Now they may arise a situation when for some reason an official from the finance section needs all the data about sales in a company for a particular month. In this case, he is not allowed to directly access the data of the sales section. He will first have to contact some other officer in the sales section and then request him to give the particular data. This is what encapsulation is. Here the data of the sales section and the employee that can manipulate them are wrapped under a single name, that is called as sales section. So encapsulation means wrapping up data and information under a single unit. Next, we see the abstraction. Data abstraction is the process of exposing to the outside world only the information that is absolutely necessary while concealing implementation or background information. That is hiding internal details and showing functionality. So data abstraction is divided into abstraction using classes and abstraction in header files. So next one is the polymorphism. Polymorphism defined as the ability of a message to be displayed in more than one form. So it supports operator overloading and function overloading. In polymorphism, we have compile time and runtime. In compile time, we are using the operator overloading and function overloading. In runtime also, we are using the function overloading. Inheritance is the one of the main feature of the object-oriented programming language. When one object acquires all the properties and behavior of the parent object, that is known as inheritance. Here we are using the subclass and the superclass. Subclass, the class that inherits properties from one class is called as subclass or derived class. Superclass, the class whose properties are inherited by a subclass is called a superclass or a base class. So here we are using the concept of reusability. That is, when we want to create a new class, that there is already a class that include some of the coding that we want. We want derive our new class from existing class. By doing this, we are reusing the fields and methods of the existing class. Inheritance are divided into five types. There are single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hybrid inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. These are all the types of inheritance. Next, we see the dynamic binding. Dynamic binding is a decision is made at run regarding to the code that will be run is respond to a function call. That is, dynamic binding is a flexible. It avoids the drawbacks of static binding, which connected the functions call and definition at build time. Next, we see the message passing. Message for an object is a request for the execution of a procedure and therefore will invoke a function in the receiving object that generates the desired results. Message passing involves specifying the name of the object and the name of the function and the information to be sent. We come to the end of this section. So I hope you enjoyed this section. Thank you.